won't try. Ooh, I'll just sit there with a smile. Ooh, I could give and I could give, follow suit and play it safe, but that's just not my style. No, that's just not my that's just not my style. That's just not my style. That's just not my style.
It's Breakfast with Friends and Sarah Reeves, Not My Style. Coming up, we chat to Nico Kleynhans.
It's time for Nico Kleynhans, exclusively on Breakfast with Friends.
So, it's a very good morning, sir. How are you doing, Nico?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's so good to have you in studio again. And one of the big questions is, what do you think about the budget?
Well, to give you an idea of how short our memory is, last year the budget had to be withdrawn.
That's right.
Because the Minister of Finance tried to slide through a VAT increase without telling the President of our country that he was going to do that.
Ooh.
So now I must admit that to pull that off, he really had to be very clever. Because to get the budget together takes about 1,000 pages of calculations. And these calculations have got to be checked very carefully. So what happens if you're a journalist in South Africa? On the day of the national budget that it's announced, you gather either in Cape Town or you gather in Johannesburg. You've got to be there at 6:30 in the morning. You hand over your devices that communicate with the outside world. You then let in, usually you work in teams of 6 because you've got to work through 1,000 pages. So your editors say goodbye to you, you go in and you start working at 6:30 in the morning. You're allowed to work on those figures until midday. So you've got a lot of work to do. At midday, you then go down to either a Zoom meeting or Teams meeting if you're in Johannesburg. If you're in Cape Town, it's a live meeting when the Minister of Finance appears with his directors, and they then answer questions that you may have as you wrap up your analysis of what is going to happen. At 2 o'clock, as he starts speaking, you go live. Then you can do what you like. Your mobile's working again, and you can then send your stories in, and everybody rushes to get online as soon as possible. So what made this year special? The first thing is at the last moments, they cancelled 20 billion rands worth of tax increases.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is really significant. And this has come about because SARS gathered more tax than they had originally estimated a couple of months ago.
Wow.
And so they said, okay, let's give everybody a break this year. So that was the first important point, which means we had no new tax increases at all as a country.
Fantastic.
Those of us who pay PAYE, you would notice at the end of this month that if you got inflationary increase, you are still going to pay less tax. If you got less than an inflationary increase, you're going to pay even lower rates according to the new tables. Those of you who are on medical aids will find you are getting a bigger write-off this year than you had last year, and it's quite a substantial amount more that you're going to be able to write off. If you're running a small business, up to now you had to register for VAT at 1 million rand. Now the problem with that is the administration of the VAT is very expensive. SARS has recognized that. The minister said that in future you only have to register at 2.3 million. So a couple of 100,000 smaller businesses can now deregister for VAT, and that will save them a substantial amount of administrative fees as well.
Deregister from VAT
Deregister.
because they're so small.
Yes,
Okay.
because you know, if you, for instance, your turnover is 1.5 million, you no longer have to be registered, so then you deregister.
Okay.
Public debt will stabilize at 78.9% of gross domestic product. Gross domestic product is the total earnings of everybody inside South Africa. That is significant. The government has allocated 1 trillion rand in taxes to be spent on infrastructure development, but it will be spent on energy, water, and roads. Now, that has a multiplier effect, because what you're paying salaries, those people are going to spend, and then they're going to spend. So it's going to make a significant difference. And that is why the public debt will stabilize. The general levy, fuel levy, goes up by 9 cents, which is not significant. If you have a tax-free investment, you can move your 36,000 rand annual contribution to 46,000 rand and get that benefit. If you have RAs, you can move your 350,000 top limit to 430,000 rand top limit. And for the higher net worth, that is a substantial amount of money, because your write-off is 35%. So there it would make quite a big difference. If you're running a small business, your capital gain exclusion, so if you sell something and you make a profit, that has now been increased to 2.7 million, on which you will not pay tax. That is significant. Then because I foster kids, I get 1,290 rand from April and 1,300 from October. Now, for me, it's not going to make much difference. And I'm still concerned about that, because if you're running a place of safety, you're only getting 1,290 to feed, clothe, pay for all kinds of expenses, and that is still not enough. So there we do have to spend some energy looking at what we can do. But the big news on this is that for the first time in 17 years, our national debt is stabilized.
That is fantastic.
And that is good news for future years.
Yeah.
So this was actually a very good budget. And I don't think that everybody recognizes how lucky we are to have gotten the budget in this particular form. So it's a good budget, folks. It's going to make a difference to your pockets in a couple of days' time, and it will continue to make a difference to your pockets for a while.
Fantastic. Nico, thank you for bringing us some good news. Really, really appreciate it, and always good to chat to you. Have a great day.
Thank you.